And we begin tonight with a look behind the screen to see how detectives are catching online predators who use the internet to find young victims. Thanks for joining us. I'm Renee McCullough. Matt has the night off tonight. KEZI 9 News reporter Jaewon Jung joins us live in the studio to show us some common methods that offenders often use against children in our special report. Jaewon?
Renee, we're all connected through the internet, but it's hard to know who's on the other side of the screen. Eugene Police detectives say some of them are dangerous and targeting minors. In my special report tonight, we have a never-before-seen look inside the work of detectives catching online child predators.
The internet, for most of us, a safe space for work and play. For others, a hunting ground where they search for victims.
A prominent financial advisor and community member is in jail tonight, accused of trying to hook up with a teenage girl for sex.
A former Eugene elementary school teacher pleaded guilty in federal court to 1 count of child sex trafficking.
PD has arrested several men over the last few weeks in separate cases for online sexual corruption of children.
Experts say there could be as many as 500,000 sexual predators online in the U.S. each and every day. Here in Eugene, Nathan Oming and even former 4J teacher William Hammond are just some of those in recent years caught red-handed, chatting online with young girls. Or so they thought. The female teens actually on the other side of the screen were detectives in disguise.
The people that we encounter are people that reach out to us, send us friend requests, initiate conversations with us.
KEZI 9 News was granted exclusive access behind the screen. Detectives shared their techniques and the toll it takes on their psyche. In return, we agreed to hide their identities. Going online pretending to be young girls isn't what Detective J and Detective C normally do on their day-to-day. These detectives are in the Violent Crimes Unit, which means usually they're investigating things like murder or shootings. But after learning about sting operations from a training, the detectives decided to begin their own undercover profiles.
One of the trainers discussed how prevalent offenders were in attempting to reach out with underage children.
It was just a matter of time when things got creepy.
Within the first several messages back and forth, you will get an unrequested picture of their genitalia.
But you might also be asking how the detectives get into character.
Through the course of our routine duties, we do have regular contact with teens, especially at-risk youth. So we're engaging in conversations with them on a regular basis.
In 2020, Eugene Police reports 10 cases of online child predators leading to 4 arrests. With a few months still left to go in 2021, that number jumped to 26 with 24 arrests this year so far. At first, detectives say they were hesitant about revealing sting operations to the public, thinking it may be harder to catch predators. Yet, despite openly going undercover, detectives say the number of people contacting them on their fake social media profiles has only increased.
After the first press release, the first few went out, we saw a zero drop-off in the amount of people that were contacting us. There is a constant draw for some people to go after underage children, and we feel that we could have this on the news every single night, on the front page of every newspaper every day, and we would still be arresting people at the same rate.
What's even more disturbing,
many have been in possession of methamphetamine, and in some cases they've offered it to us. They've also offered us marijuana and alcohol and other party drugs. Some of the people we've also noticed have had firearms, taser, pepper spray, large cutting instruments, knives and swords and so forth.
Despite all of these common traits police see with online predators, the reality is internet sex crimes are a complex issue. Experts say it's hard to actually profile sex offenders.
One of the things that you should know is that the people who get caught in police stings tend to be the less competent criminals.
Dr. David Finkelhor is the director of Crimes Against Children Research Center based in New Hampshire. He says while sting operations are able to successfully catch some of the worst predators, the most intelligent criminals remain on the loose. So I tried to find out more information on the number of online child sex crimes in the state and in the country. But this is not something the FBI specifically tracks. Instead, I found some numbers on the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. They operate Cyber Tipline, a reporting system for suspected child sex exploitation. According to their data, there are some common methods offenders use against children. They report 34% of offenders engage the child in sexual conversation as a grooming method. 33% ask the child for sexually explicit images. 29% praise the child and discuss shared interests. 23% will send explicit pictures of themselves. These are all methods Detective J and Detective C found during their operations. And for many caught during a sting operation, detectives say this isn't their first time offending.
The majority of the people we've come in contact with and arrested are previous convicted felons with violent offenses. And there's also sex offenders who are registered from previous sex offenses that they committed.
But Dr. David Finkelhor says the rates of reoffense aren't significantly high.
But on the whole, the reoffense rates for internet abusers is somewhat less. Overall, reoffense rates for adults who sexually abuse children is not as high as some people think. We have good treatment options available for offenders, and for many offenders, their likelihood to reoffend once they've been caught is lower than that for other kinds of violent criminals.
But detectives believe treatment is not effective.
There's a reason why we see so many people who have reappeared on our caseloads, why we sent people to prison for their second, their third, their fourth sex offense, is because they choose that behavior as a lifestyle. It's how do you change somebody who is wired to want to have sex with children?
According to the Department of Justice, the rates of reoffense for sex offenders in a follow-up period of about 5 years are around 5%. But that rate rises to more than 20% based on a 10 to 15-year follow-up period.
So is there a law in Oregon right now that sort of prevents sentences from being higher, from them being locked up for life for this kind of behavior?
There are laws regarding sentencing, and I think those are established by the legislature. I think that it has to do with the person's criminal record, and I understand sex offenders don't have many fans in the world, but it is, in my experience, at least proportional to versus a hands-on sexual offense.
Another law detectives want you to know about?
The online sexual corruption laws that we're enforcing and the crimes that we're investigating, they only allow for police officers or people working under the direction of police officers to pose as juveniles.
Detectives are warning if you see something suspicious, don't attempt to do your own sting operation because not only can it be dangerous, but often enforcement can't be taken. This work takes up a lot of time and energy.
There is a lot of time burden on this because we have our, daily job with our daily cases, and this person that's trying to contact us can contact us at any time, and we, tend to respond to them in kind.
But detectives say as mentally taxing as it can get, they're able to keep work out of their personal life.
Both of us, we do a fairly good job of compartmentalizing what we have to deal with, the horrible things we see in our job, and we're able to separate that from our regular life.
Eugene Police hopes to add an internet sex crimes unit in the near future to catch more predators. Because even though they want to catch every predator, they tell me there's simply too many roaming online behind the screen.
Renee, even as I was interviewing the two detectives, they were constantly getting contacted by people on their decoy profiles. It just goes to show you how much this work is consuming their lives. But they hope their work is stopping a predator from contacting an actual female teen. Detectives are urging parents to start a conversation about online sex offenders as early as possible. And if you see something suspicious, don't hesitate to call Eugene Police. In the studio, Jaewon Jung, KEZI 9 News.